Hello, welcome to Real Estate Investment with Little to No Money Down, presented by Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo, Inc., a full-service real estate investment firm. I am your host, Delisa Robinson, the owner and CEO of Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo. This program is for those who think it takes a lot of money to invest in real estate when it really doesn't. Real estate investment with little to no money down is just that. Zero down, little to no money down, from 0 to 25,000 down. Okay, so let's get into our presentation a little bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our company, give you the ins and outs of zero down, little to no money down, and how you can reach out to us after. As I stated, Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo, or tag 716 if that's a lot to say. We are a full-service real estate investment firm. We do real estate sales, both retail, which is on the market, wholesale, off the market. Real estate investment lending, which is your hard money, traditional lending, private money. We can link you into all of that. And we do investments. So if you have money you want to invest in one of our projects, we are more than happy to discuss that option with you as well. Real estate investment education, that is pretty much what we're doing right now. We are on a mission to teach 1,000 people in 2020 the real estate investment business. We want everyone to try and grow wealth through real estate. It's as simple. Construction management. Construction management is we will oversee projects. Now, we do it primarily locally here in the area, and we are also in the Atlanta, Georgia area as well, where we can help you and oversee projects. Portfolio building, where we help you build a real estate portfolio, coach you, teach you, train you, see what's the best option for you, basically teaching you how to recognize a good deal that matches your portfolio or your profit goals. Management is on the other side of that. We are not a property management company. We used to be. We started out as a management company. We no longer do property management. However, we do manage portfolios, meaning we can advise you on when to hold on to a property, when to sell a property, and when to grow your portfolio. Let's get into zero money downs. This is absolutely OPM at its finest, which is other people's money. This is how you invest with no money down. You can do a seller finance. This is where the seller handles the mortgage process. They are your bank. So instead of you applying for a bank with Bank of America, Wachovia, Chase, Citizens Bank, all those, Citibank, and all those other great people that are out there, you can actually have someone agree to hold a mortgage for you. This is where the seller will hold on to the mortgage. You will make the payment to them on a monthly basis. The seller usually wants a quick cash out. So what they'll usually say is within 1 to 2 years they want a balloon payment. But for people who have credit issues on owning a home, this is a great way to start the process. A seller finance is amazing. They can also do partial finance. So say you might have that bad credit or not the credit score that the bank desires, but you might have, say, $10,000 in cash, and you want to use that as a down payment, and the seller finances the rest of the mortgage for you. You can do that as well. I think seller finance is a great way to go. I did it before, I'll do it again, and I will also be the seller that holds a mortgage for people in the future. It's a great way to allow people to get into this real estate game, because these real estate streets are about to get bumpy. Lease option. A lease option is between an owner and a tenant. This is more commonly known as rent to own. Now, rent to own, it basically, the purchaser is charged a monthly premium or a yearly premium, meaning you have to pay so much extra per year or extra per month for it to be considered a down payment. So say your normal rent payment was $500. And they say, well, now you have to pay $800. That $300 a month is going to go towards your down payment, where you would normally keep the rent. Some owners are even better than that. They'll say the entire $800 is going to go towards your down payment. That's usually what we do when we do this process. But you have to do it, you can do it with no money down because you're already paying the mortgage. You're already paying the rent. So that's in essence your mortgage. Like I said, sometimes the higher rental payments are due. End dates are usually 1 to 2 years, just like a seller finance. Usually they want to get out of the lease option quickly. The downfall is if you don't comply with the exit strategy of the terms of the contract, you can lose all of the additional money that you put into it and still have to move in the end, because if they still want to sell that house, you still have to move. Collaborative investments. Collaborate, meaning join forces. Partnerships. You can have cash, credit, experience, a skill set. You can do crowdfunding or you can use your home equity, but people bring different things to the table. So someone might be bringing cash, someone else might have a great credit score. Put those together and you have a real estate investment company. Some people might want to do their experience, some people have credit. Neither one of them have cash, but the credit, where they say cash is king, credit rules the world. And as long as you have a great credit score, you can pretty much get anything you want. Excuse me. Now, I've had all of this. I've had cash, I've had credit, I've had experience, I've had skill set. And skill set is one of those very tricky ones. I had someone come to me and say, hey, I have a house. You have a construction team. I'll provide the house. We'll get an appraisal. And you guys put that much work into it, labor and materials, and we will flip this house and split the money. Nobody puts any money down. Everybody's working. Everybody can contribute to the work that needs to be done on the house. And it works. I've had people come to me and say, hey, can I partner with you and use your experience? I have good cash, I have good credit, but they're giving me high interest rates because I don't have any experience. But if I have a partner who's also brokered in real estate and has flipped before, they'll give me a better interest rate. Absolutely. Do it. Now, crowdfunding is just like it sounds. Crowdfunding for real estate is similar to a GoFundMe account, only you get your money back with interest. Crowdfunding is where you are invested with a crowd to fund a real estate project. You are invested, you will receive papers in the mail or internet to sign, and you will get a return on your said investment. That's crowdfunding. There are a million different ones out there. I don't know all the ins and outs. We don't do it that way. So we kind of do and we kind of don't. I'll explain it to you probably in the next clip when we talk about joint venture agreements. A home equity is where you have a home. I had a home where I had zero mortgage. So I refinanced to take the equity out. I partner up with someone else who might have a construction company, and we are now in business of flipping houses. We're building a real estate portfolio. That is how that works. That can be tricky because when you do that, you are putting your personal real estate property at risk if those payments aren't made. It can be foreclosed on. So be careful with that. Wholesaling. Wholesaling is probably the quickest way with the highest return that you're going to do with no money down. Wholesaling is joining and matching motivated sellers and qualified buyers to flip a contract. Not a house, a contract. So we're going to use my favorite neighbor, Miss Susie. Miss Susie lives down the street. All of her kids are married and moved on and they no longer live in the area. She wants to go live where they live. So she has 2 daughters, 2 sons. They all live in, say, Florida. She wants to move to Florida. So Miss Susie comes to me and we're talking one day, and hey, how are the kids? They moved and blah, 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 blah. So now what Miss Susie's going to do, she's going to say, hey, I'm interested in selling my home. Do you know anybody who might be interested? Here's where it's a double-edged sword. You have to be careful how you answer this question. If you know someone who's interested, on two different levels. You have to first ask her the question. I may know someone how much do you want for it and how soon are you looking to sell? Now, once she says what she's looking for, then you know which route you're supposed to go. If you know that her property, and this is for my real estate agents out there who want to dabble in wholesaling, you have to tread lightly because you have a license that can be jeopardized, so you have to do this the correct way. If Miss Susie is asking you, do you know anybody who might want to purchase her home, you can say yes. You can say you want to buy it, or you can say your investment partners want to buy it, or you might have a buyer for it. However you want to put that, but just say yes. Ask Miss Susie, how much do you want for the home? If Miss Susie says $50,000 and you say okay, you are now a wholesaler, investor, buyer. You are not the real estate agent. You do have to advise Miss Susie that you are a licensed real estate salesperson, agent, broker, whatever your title is. I'm making this very clear. You have to legally advise her that you are licensed. And you are acting on your own behalf, not hers. So therefore, if Miss Susie has any further real estate questions, you, real estate agent, need to refer her to someone else. You cannot handle both sides of that deal. You will, trust me, believe me, you will get yourself in a world of trouble doing that. You will also include in your contract a line that says you are a licensed real estate broker, salesperson, agent, whatever your title is, acting on your own behalf as an investor. You have to put that in your contract because you are doing a CYA. CYA is cover your butt. Okay? So you make sure you cover yourself, make sure you cover your license when it comes to this transaction. So going back to Miss Susie's original question, do you know anybody that can purchase the house? Well, I'll purchase the house and I'll, fix it up and I'll probably sell it. You flip it. She knows what you do because that's why she came to you and that's why she asked you. So you go, okay, great. So Miss Susie goes, okay, I want 50. Okay, I'll give you 50,000. Now you are acting on your own behalf and you understand that the value of the neighborhood and everything else, her house might be worth 75,000 in as-is condition. So John down the block and around the corner is a flipper. And he says, I'll give you 75,000 for it. Miss Susie gets her 50,000. John gets a house that's probably worth 200 to 250,000 once he finishes the renovations and updating the kitchen and the bathrooms and everything else and making it look nice and pretty. And you get the 25,000 in the middle. That's flipping a contract, not a house, because you contracted to purchase and you assigned your position to someone else. That is OPM at its best because you used John's 75,000 to purchase Miss Susie's home. And you made 25,000 in the middle. Not all deals are that big. Some are smaller, some are bigger. You never know. It depends on what you get out of it. So you have to be very careful when you do this. You are matching a motivated seller with a qualified buyer. Qualified buyer is simple. If Miss Susie were to ask you, well, I need proof of funds that you can afford it, you would go to John and say, hey, I need a bank statement showing that you have at least 50,000 in the bank. John's going to give you a bank statement that shows he has at least 50,000 in the bank. Well, 75 because he's going to pay you 75,000. If Miss Susie were to ask you for a deposit, you would go to John and say, hey, John, I need a deposit. This is a class that we teach more in detail, and you can follow our YouTube pages, you can follow our Facebook pages, and you'll see we go way more into detail with this because a lot of people are starting to get into this type of real estate just to build cash. To be honest with you, some people stay in and they like They just like this part of the real estate game. But out here in these real estate streets, a lot of people are getting into it so they can move to the next phase of their investment portfolio. And then they leave this alone until they need cash again. A lot of people get in it and they get out of it. They get in it and they get out of it. Now, an assignment versus a double close. A double close is where you would basically have two transactions that close, and your name would actually go on the deed. It will be quickly replaced with John's name, but you and Miss Susie would close a transaction, then you and John will close another transaction. In most states, there is no license required for this. However, Illinois has opted to say that you need a license to wholesale, and other states are starting to change their rules and policies to say the same. So we will need you to basically go to your state laws, go to your state and find out what your local laws are, because what I say here might not be what's legal for you there. So make sure you are in you're within your legal rights in your state. Now let's talk about some low money investments. These are where you'll need some cash. Okay, you will need less than $25,000. Joint venture agreements. Joint venture agreements are where, like I said before with the collaborative investments, you need a joint venture agreement. It's where both people bring something to the table, whether you're both bringing $25,000 in cash, or you're both bringing $10,000 in cash, or you're both bringing credit. A joint venture agreement has to state the agreed upon amounts, the collaborative interest, meaning what you are bringing to the table, your leverage of your assets. If you're leveraging a house, then you have to put it in there. If you're leveraging your credit, you have to put it in there. Are your deals going to be financed versus all cash? And you also want to know a return on the investment and a time frame of payout. That all has to be in the agreement. So and be careful with this, because I know I personally ran into this issue before, where we did joint venture agreements with people who invested with our company on real estate deals. Things happen, and you may not be able to pay out when you're supposed to. If that is the case, you need to be upfront, you need to be honest, and you need to tell the people why, what happened, and when they can expect their money back. Because you want people to reinvest with you, so they need clear terms. The lesson we learned from this is to add in a clause of monthly payouts instead of just one lump sum at the end. So that's where we're going with that. So you guys have to know, you have to get into, if you're going to get into taking other people's money in for investment, you have to have an exit strategy that says how they're going to be paid back if something were to go wrong or hold you past the time that they're supposed to be paid out. Okay? All right. Now, subject to is quickly becoming one of the fastest ways to obtain real estate. You are basically assuming someone else's mortgage. You are taking over their mortgage payments. That's all you're doing. In some cases, they may want you to pay them some money for it. Say they want $5,000 for their pocket, then you take over the mortgage payments. They might want $10,000 for their pocket. You take over the mortgage payments. If they're desperate enough, they don't want anything. They're just ready to walk away. And you take over the mortgage payments. Your name goes on the deed. The mortgage stays in their name. However, this can be risky. Although it is the easiest and fastest and one of the cheapest ways, and least complicated to acquire property, it can also bite you in the butt. If that owner decides to file bankruptcy, that mortgage that's not in your name but still attached to your house is going to be included in their bankruptcy. If their bank decides to call the mortgage, and call the mortgage means they want it paid in full, they can call that and you would have to pay that up front, or you would lose your house. It is best to have an attorney or a qualified title company arrange this contract for you. The best thing about this is you can buy as many as you want. You don't have to run your credit. You can, as long as you have the cash to do these type of deals, you can buy and do subject tos all day long, and it works. A subject to wholesale deal is amazing. You take over the payments until you sell the property to someone else. How great is that? That's amazing. It's best to have this in a trust because due upon sale, a bank can do that, but if it's in a trust, they cannot. If it's due upon sale means it is available as the payment, the balance in full is due upon the transfer of the deed. So that means you would have to pay all of the money up front. So it's better to do this in a trust. And like I said, an attorney or a title company, they will be better to help you. More so an attorney than a title company. They will be better to help you with that due upon sale portion of a subject to agreement. Okay, so definitely get an attorney if you're going to do subject to. Now the house hack. The house hack is the most popular and so many people have done it. They just don't realize they've done it. What we do is you buy a home. And the majority of the time this is done with an FHA loan because it requires less than 4% down. So you purchase a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. You live in one unit and you rent out the other unit or units. You live on the premises, so not much can happen that you don't know about. You don't have to live there forever, and it allows you to save for another investment property. Now, the next slide, I'm going to give you a perfect example of how I put $8,400 a year in my pocket. I was paying rent for $450. That was a family discount because I was renting from my brother-in-law. It was early in me and my husband's marriage. So we were paying $5,400 a year for rent. We purchased a home from an estate sale for $26,000. Our monthly payments, including the mortgage, the interest, and the mortgage, the insurance, and the taxes, ended up being $250. Okay, $250, and we rented out the second unit for $500 because it was just a tiny one-bedroom apartment. So $500. That gave me $250 per month in cash flow. My annual cash flow increased to $3,000, which is $250 times 12. However, I'm still saving the $450 that I paid rent to my brother-in-law. So that gave me an additional $5,400 a month. So $5,400 on a yearly basis. So I now have $8,400 per year in cash. Enough for a down payment on a second property. So that's how you do that. That's called a house hack. You can do this different ways. There's a bunch of different ways out there, but this is the most easiest, simplest way to do a house hack. And it costs you little to no money down. Hard money loans, which is lending for investors. Now, the reason why we mention hard money loans is because everybody hears the term 20%, 20%, 20%. If you follow our IG pages, you know that we don't abide by the 20% rule, and we will give you the real deal of what you need. A hard money loan is just that. It's hard money, hard interest, hard terms. So that means you have a higher interest rate, a shorter repayment term, and you have to get this paid, and the terms and conditions are very strict. So this is what they do. They leverage your personal credit while building your business credit. Your personal credit score must be at least 500. Yes, there are some hard money lenders that will go as low as 500. They're far and few between, but they're out there. They place the loan's value strictly on the property. Has nothing to do with your credit, has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with anything else. They want to know the value of the property. Your loan is based solely on the value of that property. And they may consider your experience. So if you've closed a few homes in the past 3 years, they will consider that experience and might be able to work out longer terms or cheaper interest rates. What do you need to apply for a hard money loan? You need a copy of your driver's license, your social security card. You need your corporation paperwork, which is your articles of incorporation, bylaws, and or operating agreements. You need your federal EIN verification. It's your employer identification number that you can get from irs.gov. Your real estate resume. This is a statement of your experience within the last 3 years of real estate. What have you bought? What have you sold? And how much money have you made? The reason for that is that verifies your experience, and you have to include your closing statements with that experience. So what we want to do with that is if you're just starting out, which most of you are, you will put in, instead of your real estate resume, you will put in your plan of action for the next year. Your plan of action is just basically that. What you plan to buy, what you plan to flip, how much you plan to make, your projections, and how do you plan to do it. You need a fully executed contract. A fully executed real estate contract is this. You have a seller, you have a buyer, they have both signed the contract. They have both sent it to their attorneys or title companies, and you have the approval to move forward. That is a fully executed contract. You're going to need a construction budget. A construction budget is basically the plan of action for the property that you plan to flip or hold. In this, you're going to need a general contractor to act as your project manager, and you will need a copy of the contractor's license and their insurance to provide to your lender. That is what we need when we apply for hard money loans. 100% financing. Here's the thing, nothing is 100%. I've yet to run into this, and like I said, I've been in this business for 22 years, and I have yet to run into 100% financing where I didn't come out of my pocket with one dime. Here's why. 100% of finance of the purchase and 100% of the renovation is covered by the lenders. But you will need money for closings. You will need money for the inspection. You'll need money for the appraisals, and you will have to pay the broker fee, which is the financing, etc. You may need to carry interest reserves, meaning your only hard money loan payments are mostly interest only. And at an interest only loan, and you're paying that, some companies may want you to pay 6 months in advance. So you have to pay that. The term is usually shorter, where you only get 6 to 12 months to pay it off, and it's best used for flipping properties and is absolutely great for the BRRRR process. And if you've never heard of the BRRRR process because this is your first time dipping your toe into the pool of real estate investment, the BRRRR process stands for buying, renovating, or rehabbing, renting out the property, refinancing the hard money loan or loan period that you got, and then repeating the process. That is what we do in BRRRR. Now I'm hoping this can help you with your investment dabblings and information, and you can go and give you enough information so that you can actually go and do some self-investigation. If you'd like to reach out to us, we are at info@tag716.com. If you have suggestions for other classes or questions on this presentation, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. If you'd like to follow us in our Learning Center, we do have the Learning Center here where you can go on our link and you can catch up with us on YouTube. You want to sell your home, we're willing to buy it. Tag 716 Wholesale Workbook is out there where you can actually go through our 4-session boot camp along with the 43-page workbook. How to set up your business so that you will receive credit in the future, that is out there. And would you want you as a tenant? A tenant's guide to getting along with their landlord. How about that? And also for rent, any properties that we have for rent nationwide would be there as well. All right. Now, if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can reach us on Facebook at Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo, Inc. We are on Instagram at tag.716. Our YouTube channel is titled Tag716. And on Twitter, we are at Tag716. Make sure you put in the _team. Our affiliates, we have a wholesale network where we are nationwide across this beautiful nation of ours, where we wholesale properties nationwide to our investors. We have our Lunch and Learn on YouTube, which is where most of you are following up with us, and Tag 716 Network and Mastermind Facebook group where we share. That's where we do all business consulting. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, doesn't matter if you bake cookies. The network and mastermind group is there for all business owners to share and learn from one another. That is our presentation for today. I appreciate you, thank you, and you have a good day.